Hey guys, welcome to the Evil Quacks podcast. My name is Brian Jackson. I am joined by my co-host, Kevin Brady.
Hello.
And we are also joined by our guests, Alex Varsik.
Hello.
And our other guest, the esteemed Andres Figueroa.
Who's in the closet.
Alright, so, what are we here to talk about today? Well, first, let's start with our first segment, Evil Deeds. It used to be called Minor League Evil, but, you know, we're going through some changes. Not any, morality changes or,
like puberty changes.
Yes.
Yeah, or anything like that. No, we're just going through some changes in terms of names. We like to experiment with new names. It's great. Anyway, Evil Deeds is basically a segment where we talk about minor, evils that we commit in the past. Just minor inconveniencing people. Stuff like that. So, who would like to share theirs first?
I don't know.
Kevin can go
I'll
first.
go. Yeah, I'll go. My evil deed is I forgot to invite Andres to the podcast. I told him he was going to be on it, but then I didn't tell him when we were recording until today, when I realized that I didn't.
Yeah. I'm in a closet now, and I don't have a headset on. And oh yeah, no, don't worry. It's my girlfriend's closet, so it's not that. It's either worse or better.
Alright. I guess I'll go next. Well, basically, my evil comes down into the form of dad jokes, in which case I, at work, have some great... They're not interns, they're called co-ops. And they hate dad jokes, but it is my sworn duty to bring dad jokes unto the people. Yeah, I can't do words. Anyway, yeah, dad jokes.
Yeah, your goal is to bring dad jokes and bad puns to the world. That's evil enough.
Yeah.
It's what I do.
Alright, my evil deed for this week was I told Kevin to put toothpaste on Nikki's pillow, but he refused. So I don't think that's anything. But oh well.
It's the evil thought that counts.
Exactly.
Well, I think it's pretty bad, so...
Yeah.
I don't know what I did. I guess God, man, it's kind of like I'm unprepared. I'm not sure why I have this
I don't know why that could be. That has
why.
nothing to do with what's going on right now. It's definitely the fault of no one here.
Oh, yes, don't worry, Kevin. I trust you. You're so trustworthy. I kind of strong-armed my older brother into... this actually was a combined effort from me and my girlfriend. We kind of strong-armed my older brother into going on a dinner date with us all the way across up to Orlando, and that's like a 2-hour drive.
Wait,
but it was a good time, so I don't...
Did your brother have a date, or did you just make him the third wheel?
Well, he was going to be the third wheel, but luckily we invited some other people, 2 other girls, the roommates of my girlfriend. So...
Okay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't so bad. Could have been more evil, though.
Yeah, at least you didn't make him third wheel.
Yeah. Alright. Solid work, boys. Anyway, moving on, we're here to talk about a game that we have all recently played, known as The Amazing Spider-Man.
What do you mean recently? You played it recently because it took you forever to finish the game. We've been finished for 2 weeks.
Yeah, we were all done a while ago.
Recently is a month, maybe 2. Anyway, let's talk about The Amazing Spider-Man. What did you guys all like about it most?
I loved it. Except for the fact that Spider-Man should be the main villain of the entire game, because everything that happens in the game is his fault.
Yeah, it kind of is, except for, I would say Martin Lee was his own thing, on his own along with Dr. Otto. Spoilers.
It wasn't his fault.
Yeah,
Wait,
we should put in. We're probably going to talk about spoilers.
Yeah.
So.
Spoiler warning.
But how was... No, I don't see how everything was his fault.
All right,
Go ahead, explain your reasoning, Alex.
All right, let's start off with the whole demons being unleashed onto New York City with Martin Lee. Martin Lee wouldn't have done anything if Spider-Man didn't turn in William Fisk into the cops.
That's fair.
And it's Spider-Man's fault that there were all these other criminals that were planning on moving in. He planted those criminals. No, he got rid of some criminals, and yeah, they appeared again. It's not like he did it himself. That's not how it works. It's not his fault.
No, he totally played Shocker to rob that bank.
Yes, he did. No, there is a power vacuum in New York City. Fisk was the controlling entity of the entire
I
New York
know,
City
I know
area.
you, I know all these points. I
Okay.
understand that because he was removed, they moved in.
Right.
But like, what you saying that Spider-Man should have just stayed home
Yep.
and let Fisk do what he wanted
Yes.
and not be a superhero anymore.
Yep. Pretty much.
And essentially everything that happened would have happened, but with like Fisk instead as like one of the main people, because everything with Doc Ock was on its way. Bad things.
Bad things.
So who's next after
Yeah.
Alex's?
Anders, you can go.
Ridiculous
Alex went on this long thing on his
answer.
opinion of just
I
going
didn't know
on
there
a
was still turns.
J.
In
Jonah
my
Jameson rant
opinion,
about it's all
which is
Spidey's
superior to Alex's.
According to who?
I like the game a lot. It was a lot of fun. It's not going to win any Game of the Year awards for me, but like, it's a very, very good exclusive. It's a lot of fun. I have few complaints really towards the whole thing. I mean, there's always going to be some complaints, sure, here and there, but overall, I'm very happy with the game. I'd recommend it to people, definitely. Yeah, just basically, it's very good. No Game of the Year candidate, but
fault. Yeah.
I had a good time. I think my favorite part was, besides basically anything related to like Spider-Man swinging, fighting. I love the way the fighting felt, even the moments of stealth, how they felt, and even the missions or the story, especially when it picked up, was a lot of fun. The story surprised me because I thought the story was gonna be like okay, but I thought the story was one of the strongest points about the game. So overall, very happy with the game.
Yeah, I also agree with that sentiment. It was like the gameplay, the game itself, it felt very good to play. Swinging around just was a fun thing to do, just naturally without even thinking about where you were going. I will also say that I enjoyed my favorite part about the game was the like little crimes that were happening across the city as they spur up. It felt like it was a natural, living, breathing city, and you were like essentially a minor superhero trying to stop all these crimes where you can, which I thought was very true to what Spider-Man is, especially how he's depicted in comics and in the movies. He's just a kid trying to solve the problems in his corner of the world. Which
Yeah, they did some nice work on pushing the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man aspect through the street crimes and like being able to talk to people on the street and like coming up to somebody that's like, "Hey, Spidey, high five!" and then you just high five them and go back.
The first time someone high-fived and I high-fived them back, I was like, "Oh, that's sweet." Hey, it's just Spider-Man time.
I really do like how they built the city to actually make it feel, like these people are real, they have sentiments, they either like you, they either dislike you. It's all the hustle and bustle of New York City that anyone who's ever been there can expect. I love the level of polish that they build, or the level of polish they put into building this entire city. Just signs, making sure lighting works on even minor buildings that have no significance, making sure that each NPC kind of has their own sort of, well, it's not flair, they randomize the objects, but at the same time, it makes them all look different. You don't really see too many in a crowd that look the same. On top of that, I really did like the aspect of swinging around the city. The amount of mobility you had as Spider-Man made you feel free, especially during fights. There were times, at least that I know, wherever doing aerial fights, there were just times where I was just like, haha, yeah, this feels amazing. I would just go from one guy in the air, then zip down to one guy on the ground, beat him up, do a backflip, go back, punch some other guy, and it felt amazing. It felt fluid as well. So yeah, that's, I guess, my impression of the game.
Yeah.
I love the
web swinging is so much fun. Like, just moving around the city feels fantastic. Like, I didn't really touch the fast travel aside from the 5 times you have to use it to get the trophy for using it 5 times.
I don't think I ever did.
Yeah, and then I also liked the functionality in combat that you could still swing around, like especially the prisoner outposts on top of buildings.
Yeah.
If you started to get overwhelmed, you could just start swinging away, catch your breath, and come back.
Yeah, and then swing kick some guy as soon as you get back, like, hey!
Yeah, I did also like the fact that it was limited based on height of buildings. So, like, if you're swinging across Central Park, you can't swing, like, really high above the trees. You have to swing from the trees.
Hmm.
And they actually made it, like, work logically. It was just like, that makes sense.
Yeah, you'd have to go very low and try not to touch the ground, but at the same time, you had the amount of control in order to avoid that from happening, which felt amazing to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the only time they broke the web swinging was on the swing kick, where sometimes you could just do that on the top of a building,
Yeah,
and you'll just attach to nothing above you.
It's fine. I'll just attach to a cloud somewhere.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think,
moving on, what do you all think is something that could be done differently with this game? I know, Andres, you said you had a few qualms with this game, so if you've got...
Wait. The list that Kevin gave me, like how long ago? 5 minutes maybe?
yeah.
Says that we talk about something that it did right and then something that it did wrong. So I'm glad that this list that I was given 5 minutes ago, it's already inaccurate. So Kevin, explain to me
If you want to do something that you think was done best, you can do that too.
I don't need you to tell me what to do. So what could be done differently? I think there was, and this is something I noticed. Like it's been a thing since older games. Is more mechanics means more fun. And sometimes that's pretty much is not true always. So obviously the worst part was the Mary Jane segments.
Yeah, Mary Jane would be, because
I
Miles
get-
at least had one fun one.
I like the last Mary Jane one too, with the Grand Central Station.
It was...
Yeah, I get like letting you play through it, but honestly, I could see it all just done in a cutscene of her dashing across the thing and then getting to where she needs to go, and then it's playing out after that.
But at the same
'Cause-
time, I feel if it was a cutscene, players would kind of get bored just sitting there and waiting, and then
No, not the
potentially-
entire time. It melted down to just like the very last bits.
Okay.
Because, whenever the game slowed down like that, you did want to keep moving because Spider-Man is very fast in anything you can do with him, which is nice about the stealth. It's not always, super slow paced. Because you can zip around. So when you were Mary Jane or Miles, it went to snail's pace pretty quickly. And I didn't mind it when the game did that when like you were Peter and you had to walk across Feast. I liked that kind of being in there and playing as a character because, I was sold on the story, so those moments, worked just fine. But I can
Right.
see how some players would be bothered by some of those segments. And I think Mary Jane is the worst of it, and Miles and Mary, let's say them both. But, those segments when you're not Spider-Man. You play the game to be Spider-Man, not
Mary Jane.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at the same
So
time...
yeah,
Oh, go ahead. If you have...
I was annoyed at those,
Ah.
and I trying to remember what the other thing was. I'll remember it later.
Yeah, and just going off of that, like, I despised all of Miles' segments in it because
Really?
again, it was just walking around, and then later in the game when you're going against Rhino just sneaking around, it's like, I still don't care about this, and this is the, his last mission in the game, and that's supposed to be, according to Kevin, to be the fun one.
I thought it was actually pretty fun.
Yeah, I
Rhino,
like running
I
around
bet.
from
The
Rhino.
fear that came with it. Of just being, alright, so if Rhino sees me, I am going to get absolutely destroyed right now.
Story-wise, the only thing that did was give you the fear that, like, yes, Rhino is a scary character, but then when you fight him as Spider-Man, you just make him crash into stuff, and then he looks very stupid.
Yeah,
That kind
That
of
was-
undoes everything that just happened.
that was a pretty big qualm with that fight for me, at least. Like, I liked fighting Rhino and Scorpion, but at the same time, defeating Rhino just by throwing either pipes at him or a crane's hook just didn't really do it for me. I know that Spider-Man wouldn't have been able to take on Rhino, like, in a fist fight if he tried to beat him up, because that armor's too strong. But at the same time, it just didn't feel like a fight, more so just like, hey, I'm gonna just throw stuff at you, and then maybe I'll web you up and uppercut you once or twice, and then run away. It wasn't like the brave Spider-Man that you kind of saw when fighting either Electro or Vulture, or I guess even Scorpion in some cases.
Scorpion annoyed me so much.
The entire Scorpion side quest annoyed me.
The poison one?
The Poison Lake,
Yeah.
yes. There were parts of that, especially in the dream sequences when you're chasing Otto, where some of the controls just didn't seem to work on certain surfaces. Like, you'd go for one that's like, oh yeah, go ahead and grapple to that surface. And it just didn't work out. Like, Spider-Man got to the wall, and then it's like, I'm gonna go into standing pose now. It's like, Spider-Man, no. You're gonna fall to your
I
death.
had trouble with there was a weird part in the auto dream part where I also things kind of slowed down and I started falling off the cliff a bit. And I think part of it was I didn't know that you could or had forgotten because you do so much other things that if you like target and then hit the web button you actually do like zip to a spot. I actually completely forgotten that for most of the game because you don't have to use it. And after I realized it, I was like, oh, I could have just been doing that. Some of the stealth missions I feel stupid. But yeah, there was part of that dream sequence was weird. I actually kind of liked the poison lake thing hallucination because to me it was like a mini game of you know the floor is lava, and the swinging's fun in that game. So a version of it where I have to like keep an altitude makes sense to me.
While dodging the little stingers as well.
Yeah.
That was fun, actually.
I was expecting this actually. Like, one of the first Spider-Man games that I ever played, I don't remember what it was, but it was something I played on, like, my computer back in, like, 2003 or something, where, like, Doc Ock and someone else released some sort of chemical that you couldn't actually go down to the streets. Like, if you fell from swinging from buildings, you would actually die, and that's what I remember
That
seeing.
sounds like Spider-Man 1.
Yeah,
Yeah, the game adaptation of the first Sam Raimi movie.
Oh.
I remember playing that a lot.
yeah, it was Spider-Man 1, and this was like a nice little callback to it, but also I was kind of expecting like some sort of drug trip because like I remember Kevin had me play a couple of the Arkham games, and like in every one of those games, Scarecrow or something got you on a drug trip,
Yeah.
and you.
I remember the Scarecrow one at least.
Yeah, it was very much trying to be a Scarecrow fear toxin segment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I like the swinging part. I definitely had issues with the sticking to walls and stuff, like Brian said.
I don't know. I wasn't super big on the dream sequences, but fighting Scorpion in one was kind of neat, where he had 6 of him.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of the Sinister Six fights for the two villains pairing off, I was kind of underwhelmed by. Like, I like the Doc Ock fight, I like the Martin Lee fight, and I like the Shocker fight. But I think Vulture and Electro, and then Rhino and Scorpion, I was kind of like, that was okay.
Personally, for Electro and Vulture, one of the biggest things for me was, when will this end? Because it felt like I'd hit at Vulture at least like 9 times, and to the point where he just still wasn't dead. I'm like, usually isn't it like 5 or 3 is the magic number for this kind of thing? But it just kept going on, and I think it's just because they wanted you to get the same number of hits with Electro to at least like 5, because I'd been focusing Vulture the entire time. So I suppose it was just, I don't know, maybe they should have had a shared amount of hits or something like that, but the fight just seemed to drag on to me.
Yeah, it wasn't for me that it felt like it dragged on it. I think it was just, it felt more like, since I was taking 2 down at once, they didn't feel like that much of a threat. I was kind of just like, especially the Electro and Vulture one, because those were pretty quickly after the raft breakout. Like, it wasn't too long after that. And then there's just kind of like, oh yeah, they just beat Electro and Vulture. All right, done. All right. I was like, oh, that's it for all of them? Okay, Electro and Vulture are down. All right, Sinister Six is pretty quickly down to the
Last 4.
Fatal 4. I don't know what to call it at that point.
That's trademarked by WWE.
Oh, well, we can't call him Fantastic because that's trademarked by someone else.
Anyway, I actually personally, I like the Vulture fight and the Vulture Electro fight, mostly because, like, fighting Vulture by himself is just a fun thing to do because he's flying around in the air, and I found that, like, very cool to fight him. Like, Electro, I didn't really care about him, but, like, I was mainly focused on fighting Vulture.
That's kind of what happened to me too. I was mostly focused on Vulture, knowing that Electro, you at least had to try and stun him first. Otherwise, if you went too close, you'd get zapped and take damage. For Vulture, if you get close to him, it's no big deal. At least I don't think it was. I don't remember having any trouble getting close to him. But also using his own, I think it was like, if you want to call them talons or whatever projectiles he was shooting at you, it was rather easy to kind of grasp onto them and then throw them back. So I focused him most of the time.
I have a respect for Vulture from this game because, like,
Yeah.
knowing his character, he is 76 years old with spine cancer, and he can still find a way to kick Spider-Man. That's awesome.
I consider that pretty impressive, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a pretty awesome wingsuit, too, not gonna lie.
That is the type of evil that people like you can only dream of being one day.
I also liked Rhino's armor, but that's a different story for later.
Right.
Guess.
Yeah, we'll get to design and art stuff.
Yeah.
Later.
Yeah, but bouncing off of like the whole like Electro and Vulture getting down very easily and becoming the Fatal Four or whatever. Act 3 of the entire game felt like it went by pretty quickly, didn't it?
Yeah.
It kind of did to me,
I
yeah.
thought it was the best part of the game was when everything was going down, and every mission was like important. You were taking on a supervillain every mission. That was like really exciting.
Right. I wish
Yeah.
there was more of that in the game, but like they just chucked it into this short sequence.
No, I think it's because it wouldn't have made sense to like have them rampage for that long during the game. I think it just helped stress, how hectic everything was going, not hectic, how severe the situation had become. And again, they wanted the Sinister Six to assemble, which means at some point they're all going to be online. And after that, it's easy, you just start making missions where you start taking them out. That's just what makes sense. I don't think it was necessarily fast paced. I thought there was a lot of development throughout the whole game, story wise. Like a lot of things were unfolding throughout the whole story, and that's what made the story strong. Was that things were happening.
It kept people entertained as well.
Yeah.
Just because things were happening.
I think just part of that was them showing the raft escape at E3. I think just because I knew it was coming at some point, I was just sitting there like, all right, when's the raft breakout? When are we happening? And then, so you're waiting for that to happen, and then it starts Act 3. So then you're like, oh, there it is. But at that point, you're almost done. I think that's just an effect from that.
I also do like how the raft breakout did impact the city, in which case, not only do you have Silver Sable going after you, but you also have all of these armed criminals aiming at you with rockets and guns the entire time as you're swinging around. It's not the peaceful city you once knew. It feels alive with crime, and everything just sucks. But at the same time, it made for a very entertaining experience going around and fighting what little crime you could between missions.
Yeah, the whole city falls apart, and I like the fact that the Avengers just got popcorn instead of actually helping.
Yeah, I know. Their tower's just right there. It's like, hey guys, you want to help out? Nah, we're good. But where are we going next?
Do we want to do something that is done very well? Excluding web swinging.
I feel like that was the something that a lot of us were going to bring up. But if anyone else has anything else they'd like to bring up in terms of things that were done well, I mean, I did say
I like to bring up how inaccurate this list is, and that something that could have been done well, that wasn't, is Kevin's recent behavior.
Kevin, as executive producer, you should have handled
No, I
this
did.
better.
Yeah, just I didn't send it to him as well as not invite him, and then you skipped the something done very well because you felt like web slinging covered that. So then that's why he's like, well, it's inaccurate because we skipped it.
All right, let's just talk about art style.
Art.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Perfectly fine. It's perfectly serviceable. I don't think there needs to be much said art wise. Like it is what it is. It worked.
They removed too many puddles.
They put those back in with an update like
They
yesterday.
removed it for too long, man. I could not go without it.
Like they put
good.
a filter on the photos to put puddles as a sticker for so you can put your own puddles in your pictures.
That's really clever, actually.
It's not really art style thing. But something about that's other details in the game. But like, yeah, just visually, like everything's solid, looks good. People don't look weird. There is animations and expressions, so no Andromeda stuff going on. Uh, yeah, so I liked it. My one gripe though with the suits is that I love most of them. I love the noir suit. Always liked that suit. Uh, I don't know where the Venom suit is. That's what surprised me. There's no Venom suit, and there's another Spider-Man suit that was on the tip of my tongue that I forgot,
Well, first off,
but I
we don't
remember
talk
not
about
seeing
Venom.
it.
I think Venom, they're holding that. The tease seem like they're teasing Venom, and plus Spidey has a line where he hints at it.
Yeah, I would think though they would at least have the the Venom suit. Just because the black suit is iconic and pretty good. Oh, they also didn't have the Iron Spider. The no,
Oh, the
the Iron
comic one.
Spider. Yeah, the comic version where it's the red and gold. That one. That originally had like the four claw things. That one wasn't in there, and I was like, that one definitely should have been. But that's part of my suspicions that we're also going to do the Superior Spider-Man story. Um, Actually, that's not tied to that suit. But yeah, suit wise, yeah, the Venom suit, I didn't see it. I thought it would be in there. Same thing with Iron Spider. I was very surprised that those two weren't there. Otherwise, I liked a lot of the suits, except it pissed me off when I did all the secret photos and got the worst outfit in the game, which is just Spider-Man wearing his college t-shirt. That is so infuriating because I scoured the map for those secret things, being like, I'm not going to look up what the reward is because I just want to be surprised. And it's that crap, and I'm just like, well, I see, game. I see. I see what I get for doing photo spots that aren't on the map. Cool.
I think it definitely would have landed better as like, oh, it's cool, it's Spidey in casual wear. If there wasn't Spidey like in his underpants, which is just so much better.
Yeah. What if I wouldn't have minded if it was just Peter Parker like regular and the game just acted like he wasn't wearing his mask. I would have like I'd have been perfectly fine with like going around as like the Peter Parker model and just being people like, Spider-Man, who are you? And being like, who knows?
You'll never know.
Never.
I would have been very happy with that because that would have just been amusing because like the functionality's there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, also, there was no Spider-Gwen suit, and there could have been a Spider-Gwen suit. Even though it's usually worn by a woman, so what? Like, you can fit it for a dude. To get the colors and the hood in. Boom.
I mean, with my opinion, I didn't really care much for having so many suits. Like, I understand there's a lot of different type Spider-Man suits in the comics, but there were a couple of them that were like supposed to be metallic, but like to me they just looked terrible. Like I can't really name off any off the top of my head, but I think it was the one that came with the Iron Spider arms that popped out as an ability. I particularly hated that one because to me it just looked so bad with its bump map and its metal map.
What's the MCU Iron Spider-Man?
Yeah, I hated that one.
Yeah.
It just
Which
looked
suit did you guys wear the most?
The Mark III suit for me. I thought it looked super cool, but at the same time, I did not use its suit power. I took a suit power from the Electro suit, or whatever it was. The one that gave you the electrified fists. And that made fighting brutes and other bigger baddies so much easier. You didn't have to worry about webbing them up the entire time, so you could just, push down L3, R3 and just go to town punching them.
I chose the stealth suit, not because it was black and green and glowed in the dark, but because it was black and green and glowed in the dark.
Did you use its ability?
No, I forgot what it was, but I'm pretty sure I used the Spider Buddy the entire time.
Yeah, I used the Spider Buddy a lot. I'd use the Homecoming suit through like most of my game.
Did I used the Noir suit the most because I love the Noir suit. Always like that. But who else equipped the negative suit for that one mission where you're climbing the Osborn Tower and it's super dark and you can't see yourself, so you're like, wait, hold on. Let me put on my neon. I during that mission, like you can't really see Spider-Man as you climb, and you should avoid the lights. So at some point, I was just like, wait, I need to see myself, and I put on the neon just so I could see Spider-Man in the dark. And I just love the idea of being like, "Where's Spider-Man?" I don't know. There's a glowing bug on that window, though. Ignore it.
Really big bug on that window. We're gonna need a big fly swatter for that one.
It's all right, guys. We're very good at our jobs. We get
We
paid
are-
money, yes.
We're an
We do.
international PMC.
Any villain designs that you guys particularly liked?
Rhino. I rather liked Rhino, but it might just be because I liked calling him Megatron instead. Because he did look kind of like movie Megatron. But at the same time, I really do like, number one, how he had the glowing eyes, how it really did have more of a front-heavy kind of look to it, so when this guy came football charging at you, you knew he meant business. Other than that, yeah, I think it stayed true to his older armor a little bit more, and it looks pretty good. I also like how more triangulated it was. That makes him look more evil.
Yes, everyone knows that the evil shape of the entire world is the triangle.
As opposed to good, which is circles.
Screw the circles. All
Yeah.
encompassing.
Yeah, I really like Shocker's suit. Shocker, like, he looked awesome.
He had to show off those abs, man.
Yeah, but it's like his old costume from the
that's
comics.
Electro, not Shocker. My bad.
His costume is like super lame in the comics. It looks really terrible.
Mm-hmm.
They made it look awesome for the game.
I will admit, as soon as I did see Shocker, I'm like, ooh, this guy looks cool. And I knew nothing about him because I don't really follow the Marvel Comics universe or even the cinematic universe that much. So seeing this guy, I'm like, that's kind of intimidating. But seeing his power along with it was just like, oh god. Anyone else got any cool designs? Alex, are you going to say Scorpion? Scorpion's pretty green, Alex.
Well, yeah, so it's Vulture.
That's true.
Scorpion's suit was cool.
I did like
that
Scorpion.
one.
I loved Vultures. Like, again, I have a begrudging respect for Vulture. From now on, everything Vulture does is good. It's cool by me. Scorpio had a cool design, but again, give it up for your man Vulture over here, who's 76 and kicking your.
I also like how in Scorpion's backstory, at least on his bio page, made it seem that, like, oh yeah, he was in the dumps, you know, kind of down on his luck. So then some scientist came up to him, he's like, hey, you want to put on a suit and, you know, it'll make you powerful? He's like, heck yeah! And then the suit turned him violent, and they even gave him a toxic tail, and to me, it's just like, you guys didn't see this coming?
Yeah, you caught who bankrolled that, right?
Yeah.
J. Jonah Jameson paid for that.
Yep.
Yeah! J. Jonah
I like he brings that on the podcast.
Yeah,
like-
in the I believe the original Scorpion in the comics, the story is that they want to make a suited person to take down Spider-Man, funded by JJ. And what happens is when the suit gets put on him, he can't take it off, and that's what makes him go insane. He said he can't remove the suit.
Yeah.
I believe that's what it is. I believe
Is that for Scorpion or is that Rhino?
Scorpion.
Scorpion.
Okay.
Which is
Rhino
why when
also
I was playing the
can't.
game and I saw that was their explanation for Rhino, I was like, isn't that mixed up? Because I could have sworn that's what my dad told me, and my dad, you know, comic book encyclopedia, so I need to check in with him again.
Yeah, not too much to say on the other designs, I suppose. I mean, Electro was
Mr.
neat.
Negative,
Mr.
I like this-
Negative.
Yeah.
the shader was cool.
The shader was cool.
Whatever shader they
Yeah.
used, neat.
Neat.
I also like his name, Mr. Negative. I'm like, I see what you did there. I don't follow this universe at all, but I love what you did there.
He did a great job as a villain. I didn't know him before this.
Really?
Like, I'd never heard of him. Yeah.
Is he completely new?
No, he's not. He's recent,
relatively new.
Kind of. Yeah, he's relatively new.
Okay.
Like, to give you perspective, around the time my dad stopped, like, reading comic books religiously, Mr. Negative popped up, so my dad doesn't even know Mr. Negative too well. So that's like something. That's how fresh he is. I believe it's shortly after the worst storyline of the Amazing Spider-Man. You know, do you guys know in the comic books the point where they were like, we want to retcon a bunch of stuff, so Spider-Man makes a deal with the devil, and I forget who gets revived. I think
Yeah, that's after he unveils his identity in Civil War, right?
Yeah, he undoes the revealed identity and is not married to Mary Jane anymore, and someone comes back alive. It was either on May or Gwen or someone, I forget. I forget who comes back alive. But yeah, it's weird. They just retconned a bunch of stuff in a really weird way. But it
Yeah.
should be after that event at some point Mr. Negative gets introduced. So yeah, he is relatively new. Uh, Again, that's what I heard.
Hmm.
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 Yeah, they did good with him, and Doc Ock was fantastic.
Doc Ock was a phenomenal character to the end. I rather liked his change from being the good doctor man who was Peter's father figure to suddenly, yeah, the technology is turning him crazy. He is losing his mind. He's gone violently mad, and he's pointing all of his rage towards Osborn, but semi-understandably, actually.
Mm. The arms just look really cool too,
The arms
and I
did.
like that they established the goggles beforehand, so
Yeah.
they could wear them.
Like, you knew he was there. I did not know if he was going to be in this game or not, or if they were going to save him for perhaps another game. But they brought him in, and they did a very fantastic job at developing his character through and through.
I was secretly hoping that they would make Doc Ock a villain like in the next game, because like I liked just hanging out with Doc Ock in the lab because of like there's the underlying irony of like he's gonna turn at some point, but he's like
Right.
such a cool dude right now, so I
Mhm.
really don't want that to happen. And then they did, and I was like, well, screw you guys. I liked him.
I was thinking it would be Martin Lee for the entire game, actually. From when I was playing it, I thought, like, oh, this is going on for quite some time, but then as soon as we got to the raft and everybody broke out, and as soon as you see Doc Ock at the top, I'm like, oh. Well,
Like as soon as everything becomes incredibly obvious, does Brian learn? Before then, not quite.
Yeah, I remembered when they showed that gameplay at E3 with the raft breakout, and then they left it the stinger at the end of Spidey turns around to see somebody you can't see, and he's like you, and then they cut it, and I forgot about that through most of the game until like I was doing the raft mission. I was like, wait, there was a mystery person at the end aside from the 5 villains that have been set up at this point. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, at that point it's super obvious, but it's still
Yeah,
good.
Joker.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, he's working on
Yeah,
raft
Joker's
plans
good.
on a whiteboard for a security contract to go over the security, like pretty early on in the game.
I felt like that was very much swept under the rug. Like he mentions it, but like nothing was said about it ever again. Like that seems like if something you would
very
talk
subtle.
about.
Mm,
All right.
yeah.
Next, what do we got going on, Kevo?
Netflix has released a new movie called Gnome Alone, which has no relation to the other crappy Gnome movies.
All right,
None
wait.
at all?
Wait, why are we talking about this here?
Don't
No,
talk about this.
no.
Wait. About the Spider-Man though. About what I think the sequel though. As far as the story goes, I
Mhm.
think they're opening up Miles to be playable Spider-Man the next one, and I think they might focus on Miles the next one because
Like Miles Morales.
part of
Spider-Man?
me believes
Oh,
they're
it's not
gonna do the
stinks at this point.
Superior Spider-Man storyline, and it's only because Doc Ock said stuff about his body and he needs like a better one and whatnot at some point in the game that made me
Right.
think. On top of that, it would be neat to do the Superior Spider-Man storyline, so that way you have Miles fighting Peter or Doc Ock in Peter's body as like a big thing in the next game.
What?
Yeah, do you want to
You
fill
know?
in anybody that doesn't know what you're talking about?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, there's a
agree.
weird point in the comic books where Doc Ock basically transfers his mind to Peter's body and becomes Spider-Man for a while, and instead of like being a supervillain, he goes, "I can do Spider-Man better than Peter," and he does Spider-Man. It's it's
What?
weird. It's
Yeah, it's
weird,
very strange.
Yeah, no kidding.
but like they might try that, or either that, or Peter gets, I don't know. I just, maybe the symbiote, we do that and have Miles fight Peter while he's got the black suit. I'm not sure, but I
Maybe.
feel like there's potential. There's several routes to go to get Miles and Peter in conflict, and I feel like they might go for that.
From also the look of it, we might be also spoiler warning. We might be seeing possibly, I believe, Green Goblin in the next game. Is what I think they were
Duh.
hinting at.
Osborn's in the whole game. That's not even a spoiler. That's like a
That's like
Osborn's here
that's a
already.
fact.
Well, then what about
Yeah.
his son?
Well,
He's Venom.
Harry
Oh,
being at the end is a
alright.
bit of a spoiler, yeah. But Norman is a very obvious presence through the whole game. Like, it takes maybe about an hour and a half to meet him.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, what about his son?
Yeah, what about Harry being sick? That reveal was that hit. I did not see that coming.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm saying, like, do you think something will come out of this? Because he's just being held up in that. It's not a.
There's a symbiote in there.
Oh.
People are theorizing that there's a symbiote in there. Because if you
Oh,
watch
okay.
when Norman comes up and puts his hand on the glass, there's like dark webbing, and the web attaches to the glass while he's there.
Oh, okay, so symbiote. Got it.
Which is why people are thinking that they didn't talk about Venom really in the game, is that Venom is considered a thing that happened beforehand for Peter, because he has a comment when he's talking to Yuri, and she asks about him having a black and white suit, and he has like an awkward,
No comment.
that Venom happened, and then now the symbiote is in the tank with Harry somehow, so that like that'll come down the line.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Well, let's see. Where can we go from here next?
After
Well,
moving
next
into
we have
a
some
new
more-
house with her mom, high schooler Chloe discovers a troop of talking garden gnomes who
Alex.
need her help saving the
We're
world.
not talking about this gnome show.
It's a movie. It's all.
Is it by
What
the Romeo and Juliet
ever.
people?
No, that's the worst part.
That's so bizarre.
People need
Yeah,
to
no,
stop.
the Romeo and Juliet people are working on Sherlock Gnomes.
I thought that
No,
already came
wait,
out.
wait.
Honestly.
I just want to jump
Has that
out
come
this
out?
window right
Yeah,
now.
Sherlock Gnomes already happened for like
Thank
a
God.
long time. Are you not updating yourself on gnome information?
I get it. That's good.
Guys, I need to take a moment.
Okay.
Gnome Alone stars Becky G, Josh
Oh
Peck,
my
and Tara
God.
Strong.
Oh
my gosh,
my
Alex, stop.
god! What?
Please.
Why?
Not-
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna go for a moment. Hold on.
But Josh
Okay.
Peck, though.
Oh,
Josh Peck's in it?
Yeah.
heck.
What?
Josh
Why?
from Jake and Josh.
Why?
And then we could tie this back to Spider-Man, because Drake played Spider-Man in the animated Spider-Man TV show that came out a few years ago.
I think he did
Boom.
very well in that.
Nailed it.
He did do pretty good.
Alright, let's move on to the next topic.
The next up is mostly just smaller details and polish. Like I said, building polish was very good in terms of, you had all these nice bright signs all over the city distinguishing all sorts of different buildings and businesses, as well as, on top of that, I know one of the things listed here is James Jonah Jameson's radio show.
Yeah, I feel like Alex would probably want to talk about it.
James Jonah Jameson is the best.
I like his radio show a lot, actually.
Again,
I like just listening to it. It's a great joke.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm sad they didn't get J.K. Simmons for it, though. Like, the guy doing it does his best impersonation of J.K. Simmons, but
It's just not there.
he's J.K. Simmons.
I mean, I wouldn't know.
I disagree.
know.
Who played? Hold on.
I don't know.
Hold on. I have it somewhere. Darren DePaul.
Darren DePaul?
Yeah, Darren DePaul.
Okay, Darren DePaul, voice of Reinhardt from Overwatch.
I don't play
Sure.
Overwatch.
Reinhardt is actually my favorite character in Overwatch, but go on.
Oh, Reinhardt and yeah. I see that. I see that there.
Yeah.
Wait,
Anyway,
he did a good job with JJ, though.
He did.
I think he did a good job because I'm coming into this completely unbiased, knowing like I don't know what JJ or Triple J's voice was like, I guess, prior, but I think he did a very good job of being that conspiracy theorist kind of voice. As well as like, it's all Spider-Man.
Yeah.
What did I miss?
We're talking about Triple J.
Josh Peck is in the Gnome movie.
No, Alex, stop.
We're
Okay.
talking about
So we're talking about little things that really help the game. Yeah, I like the Alex Jones Triple J podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
He gets some dark in some places.
he does.
Like, there's the one with he's talking about Vulture dying and that he's been relocated to the.
Yeah, and it's like, why does this place even have a hospital? It's like, jeez, man, a little compassion. He's still human.
Nah, he's in that job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like
Um,
how like J. Jonah Jameson has like an arc to himself. Like there's like he starts off as like a radio alarmist, just saying like vigilante Spider-Man bullcrap, and then like slowly as the story progresses, where things get much worse, J. Jonah Jameson starts talking more sense and is like being the good guy and informing people to like be smart and stay safe and protect yourself. Like as things progressively get worse,
Talking
and then
about how Spider-Man is bad.
yeah,
It adds like some depth to him, like it shows that he's not totally heartless, that he
There is a little bit of
totally out of his mind.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I liked his bit at the end with, it's like, you know what? I'm a professional. I can accept when I was wrong. Spider-Man did the right thing because he listened to me on the podcast and listened to what I was saying. He took in what I was telling him and he learned. And then you have like another one. He comes up and he's like, I think Spider-Man may not have listened to me. And then he's like, you know what? I was right. Spider-Man was bad.
No, but
Yeah, I love how he just goes back on it. It's pretty
no,
funny.
you missed the whole bit though, where it's like, and since you're watching my show, Spider-Man, I'll be watching you very closely, every move,
Oh yeah, that one.
but not in the shower or when you're changing clothes because that's weird.
This is
It was-
great.
It was like a weird thing. It's like I'm watching you all the time, except when you're pooping. Okay, bye.
Yeah, I do like that he commits to it, and then halfway through saying it is like, wait, that's weird. Not while you're showering.
Yeah, no. and go to commercial. Go.
I like the one where it's like, yeah, I like when my girlfriend puts a Spider-Man suit on. Like, it really gets me going. And he's like, you, sir, are sick.
Yeah, I
Jeez.
like how he just corrects people in interviews. They'll be like, I was like, and here to talk about how Spider-Man did a terrible thing is this person. And they'll be like, well, I was being robbed, and then Spider-Man showed up and he saved me.
No, you're supposed to be talking about how he's bad. Cut to commercial.
Plug the book.
Plug the book.
You, dear viewer, are getting 2 books now.
Yeah, I really hope there's more lines in the DLC. Like, the more JJ stuff.
Also, one other voice actor of note, I suppose, for our lead, Spider-Man, played by Yuri Lowenthal, who did voices such as English dub of Sasuke. He does Neil from Camp Camp. Let's see, Mercury from Ruby. I'm trying to think of any other major roles. I'm probably skipping out on quite a few.
Yeah,
I know he did.
I-
Corrin from Fire Emblem.
Who?
Corrin from Fire Emblem Fates.
Oh, don't talk to me about Fire
I
Emblem
know,
Fates. It's
I
a whole
know, I
nother
know.
day. I could get into that. Anyway, I don't know how much time I have left, but do you think we talked enough about Spider-Man, or is there anything else we want to mention about
We've
it?
talked
I think-
quite a bit.
I think we can move on to Hall of Villainy.
Yeah. So what's the Hall of Villainy here? Who's gonna suggest stuff?
I have one at least.
We all have
So,
suggestions.
So the final segment we've got for you guys today is the Hall of Villainy, in which our hosts and guests will talk or propose a villain to be inducted into the quote-unquote Hall of Villainy, in which case our patrons on Patreon will vote for who gets the reward for this week.
Also on Twitter.
Yeah, also on Twitter. I guess I didn't actually... That's not in here at all, Kevin.
Alex,
Anyway.
I sent the list to Alex, and he did not give me that note.
Alright, so Andres, if you're on a time budget, if you want to suggest someone for the Hall of Villainy, I'd say go first.
It's almost Halloween. I could just suggest people who hand out toothpaste. Um, there's God, I think there was actually someone in my neighborhood who did that. My older brother seems to claim that he remembers we had a neighbor who gave out toothpaste and then another one who gave out apples, which is like,
I'm allergic to
which is like,
apples.
ma'am, I can go to my parents right now and ask for an apple. Like, we live in a middle class, white neighborhood where every parent here is willing to go out and buy an apple for their kids. So, I can get an apple. You don't need to give me an apple. Candy is the thing that I get rejected for when I ask for. So don't Don't
give me
think
candy.
that I need your apple. I don't need that. Hall of Villainy. I'm trying to remember someone recent. My no, I shouldn't just go into One Piece. I always go into One Piece.
I mean, you
Right
could.
now.
Yeah, you could, but it'd be good if we know who it is so that we can bounce off of you for it.
Oh yeah.
So we can argue
Who have
and tell you you're wrong.
Did I show you
That's
guys
true.
recently?
I do have one that I think some of you at least could argue, if not all. So my pick for this podcast is actually Ridley from the Metroid franchise, the cold-blooded killer dragon, known for just in his conquest being completely merciless, killing innocents without even a hint of hesitation. Murdered Samus's parents. He has the ability to actually speak in some of the mangas, and he does speak to Samus, who tries to persuade him not to kill her. But then her mom jumps in the way, and he kills her. But at the same time, Ridley's merciless. He's killer, conquest, consumes human flesh in order to help his own body whenever he is hurt. Yeah, basically just hurt for the sake of hurting, but also for the sake of recovery when needed.
But is it so? What you just described to me is evil for the sake of evil. It's like, is there any motivation for being evil?
No, just really conquest. It's the space pirates. They believe they are the elite race of the universe and wish to conquer all.
So they're racist.
Yeah, basically. They
Okay.
see anything else as useless and expendable. In which case, they can just go ahead and exterminate it.
Alright.
I would discredit Ridley for the fact that he is created and grown up from a fluffy little creature that's not scary in the slightest.
So, you're saying that just because he wasn't intimidating at first, he can't be evil.
Yep. And then also for the points that Alex said of evil for the sake of evil.
Well, yeah, he's just evil.
Yeah, but
We're just fine.
again,
He's
for
a
my
good villain
criteria,
because he is evil.
We talked last time, Brian, about wanting villains that have a motive behind them that makes them understandable.
yeah,
Ridley's just a dragon that kills people.
Oh, well, I
yeah,
completely forgot about that.
last time I pitched Thanos based off of he has a plan to save the universe because there's just too many people going around and it's becoming a real problem. So he takes it upon himself to solve the world's issues. Much like my nomination for this week's Hall of Villainy, Valentine from the first Kingsman movie.
Oh,
I should have seen that coming.
Yeah, you really should have.
we should go to McDonald's.
Said, don't top hat.
I love Valentine.
Again, his motivation for mass human genocide is based off of the world itself is being destroyed because humans are the cancer that's causing global warming, all this eco disaster, just everything that's wrong with the world today. So if we just destroy most of it, then that's a start to repairing it. And that is and the way he presents his argument to world leaders in a very calculated way, it's logical, it makes sense. It's mass genocide, mind you, but it makes a lot of logical sense.
But what is his way of disposing the corpses?
I don't know.
If it's cremation, that is a pollution hazard, in which case he is rewriting everything that he just did.
Yeah, but what's the point of cremating it? You would just because they're ripping each other to bits in the streets, Brian. The whole plan is to
There's still body parts everywhere, Alex.
That was a stupid point, Brian.
Yeah, really.
You should retract it and crawl into some kind of hole, and you don't have to die, but you can choose to.
Man.
Anyway.
I think he should be discredited on the fact that he likes Happy Meals. He's
Okay,
a villain.
fair.
He's not supposed to like Happy Meals.
Hold up, phone. Are you saying that just because he's evil, he's not allowed to be happy? That's racist.
What?
What?
Even
No,
Andres
okay.
is up in arms
Yeah,
on
whatever.
that one.
Okay. Well, any other suggestions?
Kevin, you're supposed to have a suggestion. It's not allowed to be Megatron this time.
It's definitely Megatron. No, I'm
No,
kidding.
It's
not.
Rhino, who is also Megatron.
I was actually going to pick this week because I recently, for some reason, decided to watch the 5th Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Don't. But I was going to put in... I would like to propose Davy Jones from the Pirates of the Caribbean movies because he is cold. He's very threatening. He's got a tentacle beard, and he's got an interesting backstory with his curse of having to help ferry souls to Davy Jones' locker because of the fact that he loves Calypso, and he was willing to take up that curse just for the sake of being with her. But it's kind of twisted him in his neglect of his job into this cold being that just takes souls and recruits them onto his ship.
I can't really refute that because
My headphones are being weird.
oh okay, I can't really refute that point because I don't. It's been a while since I've watched any of the Pirates of the Caribbean films, so
Yeah, they're okay.
it's not like I
Well-
can actively go back to watch them and know the lore.
The
Yeah.
only one I didn't probably enjoy watching is the first one. The rest I can skip out. Anyway,
Yes,
so
you're
I
a
don't
villain.
have anyone that you
There we
guys
go.
know, because otherwise I'm gonna be like Don Quixote do Flamingo or Katakuri, Charlotte Katakuri from One Piece, but you guys don't know them. And if I didn't suggest them, I'd be like, no, it'd be a spoiler if I said his name, but the villain from Persona 4, but you guys haven't played that.
I do, or I don't play it, but I know who the villain is.
Yeah, there's yeah, all my options so far are guys you haven't experienced yet, so I need to.
I actually intend to get Persona 4 or any of the
Persona 4
games.
Golden, yeah, it's the best things ever.
Either
Anyway.
that or I'll give 5 a try. Whichever ones I can get my hands on first.
5 is also amazing. It's a wonderful series. It knows how to do sequels, and God, every single one's like a masterpiece, man. Well, 3, 4, and 5. 1 and 2, you don't need to touch
Okay.
at all, ever. Anyway, guys, I
Yeah, go
think
back
I
up.
need to go.
You're gonna go?
Yeah, I think I need to go now.
Okay.
But that's everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just pretend I'm there for the outro, waving.
Waving.
Ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else, this has been Andres Figueroa live. Well, that pretty much does it for the Diabolical Evil podcast. This episode is now over. Thank you to our guests, Andres Figueroa, who is now gone, and Alex Varsic. Thank you for joining us today.
Go for yourself.
Alright, well there you have it, folks. I have been Brian Jackson here with my co-host, Kevin Brady.
Oh.
And make sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and we'll see you all in the next episode. And remember,
Donate on Patreon.
yeah, that too. And remember, be evil.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit subscribe and the bell next to it so you don't miss a future video. Also, head over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/evilquacks to get exclusive rewards such as extended videos, podcasts, t-shirts, and more. All proceeds will go towards helping us make video games and these videos. You can follow Evil Quacks on social media using the handles on your screen now. And always remember, be evil.